Hey guys, I'm Ben Johnston. I guess it's story time. 19 years ago, my wife up and moved from our hometown in Lumberton to Raleigh. She left me in Lumberton because I was a drug addict and she didn't want to live with me anymore. So after I finally lost my last job and lost my house and lost my car, I went to a rehab, a year-long rehab that took me 14 months to get out of because I kept breaking rules. But this was a faith-based rehab. A lot of the stuff that we received in the rehab were donated by churches. It was ran by a pastor. It was ran by elders of different churches. And we had Bible scholars who taught lessons when you came in from work every day. It was called the Malachi House in Greensboro. When I got out, my wife was good enough to let me back into the house with her. She was living up here in Raleigh then. About 15 years ago, we moved to Holly Springs. I found this Baptist church here. It was Holly Springs Baptist Church at the time, because at the Malachi House, they pressed the point of knowing God and being with Jesus as much as possible on the simple fact that you can take drugs out of somebody for a little while, but if you don't put something in, the drugs will come back. So I got the drugs out, I put Jesus in, and ever since then, my life has gotten just continuously better and better and better. As I said, we moved up here to Holly Springs about 15 years ago, had a nice little apartment, my wife and I. We were both working. I had started a minimum wage job, but since I hadn't worked in 2.5 years, I was delighted. And shortly thereafter, she became disabled and was not able to work, but I was making just enough for me and her to survive. And we decided we'd do this a couple more years and retire. Perfect plan. That's what I thought. Perfect plan. What could possibly go wrong? 2 months later, 3 grandchildren were dropped off at my front door. We had no money to feed them, clothe them, get them to school, get them to appointments, get them to ball, any of that stuff. It was just, at the time, it was mind-boggling. But I've been praying a lot, talking to God a lot, and someone came up with the idea of a food cupboard. And I found a food cupboard here in Holly Springs. And getting that food box once a month was just enough to keep us from being thrown out in the streets. With a little bit of food help, we were able to help with the clothes. I was able to take care of the transportation. I was able to pay the rent. And I did this for almost 8 years. And I do truly think that this is one of the things that actually saved us from starving to death and being kicked out on the streets. And I realized when I went, they had a line out into the streets. I mean, there's a lot of people going to this food cupboard to receive necessary food. I'm assuming that most of them were in the same kind of position that I was. Now, as my faith has grown, I realized that we as Christians, this is what we are here to do, to supply places like the food cupboard. But here again, good, faith-believing, God-fearing people keeping the cupboard afloat so that the cupboard can keep people like me afloat.